information for your next level. I am still your regular anchor, Dr. Daniel Otto. We have been dealing on information, and because it's one of the most essential elements in the world, today we'll still deal a little on information, and on a topic of which I titled, what are the various ways that human beings learn? What ways do we learn? What are the various ways that we acquire information? This is very key, because there is one thing to know, that information is very important. There is another thing to know how to get relevant information. If you know that information is important and you cannot access the information, you have not done anything until you are able to access relevant information. Brothers, ladies, and gentlemen, you have not done anything, and that is why we are here on today's episode. And I believe you need to watch this to the end. I advise you watch it to the end, because in every episode, there is a story at the end of the episode which gives you the relevance of that episode. And I encourage you, please watch it to the end as we enter into this episode. What are the various ways that human beings learn? A wise man said that the illiterates of the 21st century are not the ones that do not know how to read nor write, or the ones that does not go to school, but those that could not learn, unlearn, and relearn. What does that mean? That means you can be educated and still be illiterate if you cannot learn, if you cannot unlearn and relearn. So it is one thing to go to school. It is there is another thing to also learn from the school you are going. There is more than just going to school alone. So what are we saying? We need to be able to learn, unlearn, and relearn. That's what we're talking about. So we must be able to acquire relevant information. And the way we get the information is very, very important. And that is why we are here on today's episode. What are the various ways by which we access information? This is very, very key, because information, like we know, is the antidote for ignorance. There are many things that are embedded. This world is embedded in mysteries. So, if you must unfold those mysteries, you must get some information to be able to tackle them. And that is why we are on this channel. So, what are those various ways by which we learn? Is very, very important. You need to be able to access information and the various ways to look for the information. I will classify, we'll begin to talk about 3 different ways. So we're going to classify them under 3 basic headings. How we human beings learn. Number 1 of those areas is we learn through our senses. And we're going to talk about it briefly. And the other one is with the various entities. We're going to mention them one by one. And then the sources of information which we need to access information. All those sources of information, we need to make them ready on this program, so that when we are looking for information, we will not find it difficult in looking for information. When you can access information, it means we can tackle ignorance. We are going to take in this edition, learning through our senses. God gave us our senses so that we can make him to rest. We used to know that there are 5 sense organs, or 5 various ways, or there are 5 senses we have in our body. But today, I would like to say that we have about 8 senses in our body, which God has given to us that we use to also learn. What are those sense organs in our body and those sensory pathways that we need to use to learn? I'm going to mention them very briefly here. There are about 8, not only 5. One is the sense of sight, which we call our visual sense organ. Number 2 is our sense of hearing, which is also called the auditory sense organ. Number 3 is the sense of smell, which is called the olfactory sense organ. Number 4 is our sense of taste, which is called the gustatory sense organ. Number 5 is the sense of touch, which is the tactile sense stimulus. These are the 5 basic ones that we are used to. But the other 3 that makes it 8 are the sense of balance, which is the vestibular system. The sense of balance is what makes you not to fall or makes you not to stagger when you are walking. Those are the components of balance. The vestibular system makes you to be balanced when you are walking. And these ways makes us to be able to position things when we are talking about learning. Then the sense of proprioception, we call it the sense of proprioception, which is the sense of movement in our body. This is the sense that makes us to be able to know the position of the body. It makes us to be able to know when one part of the body is supposed to be that part. Without the sense of proprioception, people will be walking on their head instead of walking on the leg. It is the sense that tell you that your leg is the best way for you to walk. It is the sense that also tells you that your hand is the one that should do specific things. So it makes us to develop fine skills, motor system, skills that will make us to do fine things, so we can learn how to position things. It is the sense that makes you to know that when you want to take your hand into your mouth, that you will not miss it, even in darkness. Without the sense of proprioception, brothers, ladies, and gentlemen, when it is in darkness, when you are in darkness, you can be eating and you can miss your mouth. Have you ever seen a man eating in the dark and still miss the level of mouth? It's only a madman that can, a man that is not normal. Be eating, and while you want to swallow or you want to take spoon into your mouth, you will miss the position of the mouth. It's not possible except you are sick. These are the senses. The sense of proprioception is the sense that makes you to know where all your parts, things are positioned in the way they should. These are very, very important. And the last one is the sense of interoception. It's also called the hidden sense organ. What are we talking about? It is the sense that makes you to know anything that is happening in your body. You know, especially, for example, when you are hungry, you know that you are hungry. When you want to go to toilet, you know that you want to go to toilet. Once you want to urinate, especially when your senses are functioning, you know that you need to go and urinate. If not, you'll be having urinary incontinence, or you see an adult in a public situation beginning to urinate on his body. If there is no sense of interoception, these are the things we are talking about. These 8 senses are packaged into us to make us as a human being use it to learn. The sense of vision are positioned in the front. Our eyes are positioned in the front. That whatsoever we see, whatsoever we read, and now make some impulse. They send some impulses into our brain, which are then converted for us to learn from. These are the things we are talking about. So you can see things. You know that the sense of sight is very, very important. That is the sense of your vision. You use it to look at things, use it to picture a lot of things and capture a lot of things, because what you see determines what you capture. What you visualize determines what you realize. So you use your sight to read, use your sight to visualize things. Those things now form a picture in your brain that you can now connect it to learn from. These are the things we are talking about. Also the sense of the ears, of hearing. The things you hear makes you to sense impulses and to your brain, so that you can form it, and as a learning process. What you hear determines what you fear. What you hear determines what you feel. So hearing. People go to school to go and hear. That is why if you are not hearing well, they take you to a special school where they can teach you, because these are the pathways through which informations enter into our system, so that we can process them well for learning purposes. These are the things we are talking about. Even the sense of smell has a way where the sense of fragrance, things you smell, also forms that kind of senses or impulses that can make us to learn. The sense of touch, the sense of taste, All those are the things that make us to learn. What are we talking about? These are ways that we can be able to learn and acquire things. So the first level of learning starts from our senses. So the better we use our senses for our learning is very, very important. It is the basis and the platform for every learning processes. That is our senses. And that is why we're bringing it on this program, so that your eyes can be used well. If you don't control your eyes, control your ears, control your taste, control your smell, and especially how to look at things, especially the sense of proprioception and the sense of interoception, so that you can know whether things are going on or not going on right. You can even determine whether things are moving well. It will make you to know how to organize things. The sense of proprioception, the sense of interoception help you to organize things well in a place. These are the things that makes a human being. And I like to let you know, as I just want to round up, because of just round up this episode, I want to give you a story. That for you to access information, you need to fight for it. Very, very important. A cleaner in the cockpit of an aeroplane one day stumbled on a flyer. And what is the information on the flyer? How easy to fly a plane. When he looked at this flyer, he thought that it was a small thing. He said, so I can easily fly a plane. Oh, there is not too much thing for me to do on this thing. I can easily fly a plane. So he took the flyer and began to read it. And what are the informations? He began to look at the information. He thought it was very easy. So the first instruction she saw was press the red button. When she pressed the red button, what happened? The engine of the plane started. The engine started, the airflow started, the ignition started. Number 2 information, press the blue button. When he pressed the blue button, the aeroplane started taxiing. It started moving gradually before taking off. And he was so excited and said, is it me? Now maybe this, a cleaner, so I can fly a plane. So all these ones that they are telling us, that you have to go to school, you have to look for information. It is not. So it is very easy to fly a plane. Guys, the third instruction that he was supposed to, he saw the next information. Press the green button. She went and pressed the green button. Guess what happened? The aeroplane took off and he began to fly in the air. Oh my God. He was very excited and now thought that it was very easy to fly a plane. He flew for 20 minutes in the air, and she now began to think that she needed to land. Before, he was not conscious of those things. Now he knew. How was he going to land? And while he was looking at the flyer, the next information is, for you to land, consult volume 2. Where is she going to see volume 2? Your guess will be as good as mine. She was in the air flying with this plane and rigmaroling. What do you think will happen at the end of the day? It's disaster, catastrophe, cataclysm, and adversity. Your guess will be as good as mine. Serious disaster will happen. Why? Because he did not follow proper channel to be able to access information. Why are we talking about this? There are various ways as human beings that we can learn. If you don't follow proper channel, I'm telling you, what you will see, you won't be able to like it. That is why information, we need to pay sacrifice. You see people going to school. To become a doctor, they spend 7 years. To become a lawyer, so many years. To become a pilot, so many years. And somebody that is a cleaner wants to start flying a plane. Under how many minutes? Is it possible? No. That is why we need relevant information. And how for us to access those informations are important. If we must tackle ignorance, if we must be a reference, if we must make a headway, if we must access a new level, it means we need to access relevant information. That is why we're on this channel, and that is why we're talking about the sources of information. This is just part 1 of what we are talking about. We are going to to enter into part 2 of the sources of how we acquire information or learn as a human being. I'd like you to stay tuned to this episode because it will do you good. And for each episode, it will not leave you the same. There are things for you to move to the next level. These are the senses. It is time to be able to take care of your senses. Be aware of all the senses in your body so you can make use of them and be able to move to another level. Because in every part of the sense, there is something to use to be able to shift you to another level. That is the sense of sight, the sense of hearing, the sense of taste, the sense of smell, the sense of balance, the sense of proprioception, the sense of interoception. 8 different sense organs that God has given us so that we can use it as a platform for us to access information. Stay tuned for the next episode, and the Lord God will bless you on this channel. Thank you very much, and God bless you.